Hello friends, Tanya here for Spellbinders, and I just could not resist another go at some of the Spellbinders September kits of the month. We're going to use the Stitched Fall Leaves. This is a stitching die set. It is the small die of the month kit. It comes with this beautiful scripty font with a shadow die and these leaves with the stitching element and a background die. I chose to use just the stitching layer of the leaves, and for once I'm actually going to do some stitching on the leaves. As you can see, I have some gold thread here. This is actually designed to be used with your sewing machine, but I am using it here doubled up. So there's 2 strands of gold thread here, and I have an embroidery needle that has a dull tip, so I don't poke my fingers because I've been known to do that. And you aren't poking a hole through the paper because these dies have the holes for all of the stitching already cut into them. There's also some embossing to help guide you where you should do your stitching. And I don't usually do stitching on cards because it takes so much time. Well, in my world, because I put all of my efforts usually into other elements of the card. Now this stitching is pretty simple and it really doesn't take that much time. I think it took me less than 10 minutes to do both of these leaves, and that's really not that long. I really enjoyed the way they turned out, so it was well worth the time to me. As you can see, I am just following the leaf veining to determine where I want to do my stitching. I'm not going to show you the entire leaf, nor am I going to show you both leaves in the stitching cycle, just going to show you the finished after I've done a couple of the branches on that pretty maple leaf. Now to get these to fit nicely on this Essentials diamond that I've die cut, I did trim off the stems of the leaves. Here we have a couple of the Thankful for You Glimmer of the Month kit pieces, foiled and die cut. I've used this foil and die several times. This is also the Essential Diamonds, which layers perfectly over the framed leaf centerpiece. I just add a little bit of glue to the inside edge of this angle, and this is the same foil plate foiled with the mini rainbow foil and die cut twice. And then I just flip it and it makes this beautiful wreath around the diamond shape. It's kind of nice to mix up the wreath shapes. Next, I'm taking the stitched leaves here and I'm adhering them to our element. I'm just using my Barely Art Precision glue, paying special attention to the stitching on the back of these leaves, and that will make them go together nicely. I am going to show you my assembly of the words with the shadow dies. I die cut the beautiful scripty sentiments with some mirror cardstock in gold, and I did it on this little tray. I don't recommend that. The very slight lip on this little tray made it difficult for me to get my placement just the way I wanted it, especially on that H. And it's good for you to see me struggle because let me tell you, it does not always go perfect. In fact, it usually doesn't. Just because I'm human, we all have our struggles. But this does come together very easily. It is important to have nice fine tip glue. There are lots on the market. Barely Art Precision glue is the glue for me. You can get that through the Spellbinders shop. You can get it in several places, but it is amazing what a fine tip glue will do for your crafting. Just amazing. I did use a shimmery white cardstock for the shadow element, and you can see both of these pieces completed. I do take some additional layers of cardstock and adhere those behind the sentiments here. This is the Beveled Diamonds 3D embossing folder, and this is a panel that I created probably a couple months ago. I had ink blended a rainbow on it and then sprayed it with some mica spray stains to create this beautiful background. And then I did the embossing after I'd done all the effects on the paper. And I had this beautiful rainbow panel to use on something in the future. Well, this is the future, and here it is. I'm going to add some dimension to the back of this element using some coaster blank. I'm just going to cut it to fit in the back here. You could use layers of cardstock or foam dimensional, whatever is your favorite way to make dimension on your project. Just going to let that adhere well, and I am going to gently curl the leaves so that they have a little more dimension on our card. I really like to add a little curl to our elements because it just really adds a lot. We're going to center that in the middle of our 5x7 card. Yes, I am back to the 5x7 cards. I didn't take very much of a break from that since the video before this was a slimline. If you haven't seen that, it's a fun Halloween card using Christmas elements. Check that out. I am going to adhere these thicker, sentiments that I've layered 2 or 3 layers of heavyweight cardstock behind to add a little height, especially since they are white and gold, just like what they are resting on top of. By adding a little dimension, they stand out a little better. Now inside the card, we have to do some good stuff too. We're going to finish the front of the card using these Color Essential gems in Prism AB, which have a blue to purple, they're very cool toned element to them. And we're going to scatter a few of those above and below our main element to add a nice flow through the front of the card. I do love all of these gems. They're just gorgeous. Here you can see that I have foiled another one of these leaf elements using the mini rainbow foil, and I'm going to adhere this to the inside of the card, lining up one of the angles inside the card with the edge. And then we will trim off the extra, and we're going to put that extra to use. I'm going to add those on the edges, and I'll trim off the extra again, just being careful to keep just the foiled part on there. As you can see, there's a little bit of white edging that I don't want to include in the design. We'll add some glue to our elements, and then I did this on a previous card and I tucked it too close to the fold, so then it interfered with the fold of the card. So make sure when you're adhering things inside your card that you don't put it too close to the fold of the card, and you won't have any problems. There is my fun rainbow fall card. I hope you liked it. I know I did. Give me a like if you enjoyed this video, and subscribe if you haven't done that yet. If you're interested in any of the products that I use today, check that description box below. And this is part of a blog hop. I will have a link to my blog post so you can find the rest of the participants in this video also, or excuse me, in this hop also. Until next time, bye-bye.